So good afternoon, welcome to downtown Halifax here at the most eastern train station in all North America. This is going to be the starting point of a 1,300 kilometer journey over the next 24 hours in the home of the ocean, which has been running since 1904, leaving here in Halifax, across Nova Scotia, into New Brunswick, into Quebec, for a final arrival at Montreal Central Station. My name is Travis, this is the ocean, this journey begins now. So the Ocean is Canada's long-distance passenger train from Montreal to Halifax, and this is where it starts. Inside the former Canadian National Station, now known as Halifax Central, and there's actually a cool story behind the station. In the early 1900s, the Canadian National Railway had been trying to build a new station in Halifax for years, but after the Halifax explosion of 1917, which destroyed most of the train tracks in the area, along with 2,000 casualties, this forced all the parties involved to whip together a new station here at Pier 21, and it opened in 1928. Now you may see a familiar ship in the background there, that is the RMS Olympic, the twin sister ship to the Titanic. Now today I'm only taking the ocean, but this is the exact same station that millions of European immigrants entered into after coming across the Atlantic Ocean and started a journey to a new life in Canada. And although my story today is a little bit less exciting than that, after a quick baggage drop off and a check-in, we were ready to board the ocean. So although this is probably my 10th time on a sleeper train in Canada on the Via Rail, it's my first time on the ocean, and this is his first long distance train ever in Canada. This is awesome. First time on the ocean. So we departed Halifax at 1 p.m. sharp, and as we departed downtown Halifax, we passed through the Halifax shipping port and rounded out Pier 21, and after that it wasn't too long before we were looking completely outside of the Bedford Basin on the outskirts of Halifax and into the forests of Nova Scotia, and within a few hours we'll be in New Brunswick. Now, first stop of the day was in Truro, and we will be traveling past Moncton later tonight and on schedule for a Montreal arrival tomorrow at 9 a.m., but that's if the train is on time. A little more on that later. Now, on the ocean today in 2023, you'll notice that the only viewpoints that you can access are out of the dining car windows and the cabin windows. The dome cars in the Canadian are not on the ocean. The reason being is that the Port Authority in Halifax removed the turnaround track in 2020, so Via Rail physically couldn't turn the train around in Halifax anymore. So instead of resolving the problem, Via decided to run a back and forth contest where the train would just go one way, forward and back with locomotives between Halifax and Montreal. Now this right here is the Assiniboine Park car, and it was the last dome car used in the ocean in 2020. Named after the Assiniboine Park in Winnipeg, Manitoba, this park car was on the original Canadian Pacific, the Canadian passenger train, when it went from Vancouver to Banff, on Winnipeg and into Toronto and Montreal back in the glory days of Canadian rail travel. But it really is a shame, and it's an unfortunate reminder that rail travel today in Canada is a stripped down version of what it used to be. And because of this, it essentially turns the ocean from a tourist attraction to being just a basic commuter train with beds. Although I did hear that Via was planning to bring the Panorama cars to the ocean for next summer for 2024. And the Panorama cars are these 360-degree glass cars that the Canadian has stopped using since 2019. But the Panorama cars have been sitting in Vancouver for about 3 years, and they recently were on the move through Winnipeg to the Montreal Maintenance Center where they're being worked on. And hopefully the purpose of that is to put them on the ocean for next summer. But I think Via seriously needs to start doing something about getting some better equipment on the ocean, because they're truly running a skeleton of its former self. It used to be just at the Canadian, but right now, this is a recurring theme on the ocean. Now as the sun began to fade on the ocean, it meant it was time to start getting ready for bed. Now I have a cabin for two by myself because Via doesn't offer their Renaissance cabins in a cabin for one option, only the cabin for two. And once I rolled my fat ass into my bunk bed, it was bedtime, which brings us to today's video sponsor, Manta Sleep. Sleeping on planes and trains can be very difficult, and this is why I trusted Manta Sleep to help me get the best sleep I possibly could on the ocean tonight. Their Sleep Mask Pro that I'm wearing right now offers a 100% blackout for deeper sleep, C-shaped eye cups for unbeatable comfort while sleeping on your side. Their materials offer unmatched breathability and no pressure on your eyelids or lashes, as well as being 100% machine washable. And you can try it risk-free today for 60 days and get 10% off and use the code TRAVSUCKS for 10% off. You just gotta click on the first link in the video description of this video, and you'll be one step closer to getting a better night's sleep. I wanna say thank you so much to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video, and on that note, I'll see you in the morning. So this morning we were running a little bit behind schedule. Now the ocean runs on CN tracks, like all Via trains do, but Via doesn't actually own any track in Canada. And because of that, with CN doing track maintenance overnight, we're about 4 hours behind schedule, which means we're actually going to be rolling into Quebec City on a crystal clear morning. Now this here is the skyline of Quebec City that you're going to see, which means we're a couple minutes away from crossing over the Quebec City Bridge into St. Foy. But this bridge has a very interesting story behind it, because in 1904, construction on this bridge began, but after some poorly timed moves in constructing it, it collapsed in 1907, killing 75 men. The men that survived would continue on to rebuild it from scratch, and in 1916 it would collapse again, this time killing 10 men. But as fate would have it, it was the third time that was the charm, and the bridge was finally completed in 1917 and still stands to this day. And it was a train-only bridge, but today is split for the ocean on one half and street traffic on the other. Now, Sainte Foy Station means we're about 4 hours outside of Montreal. Now, as we departed Sainte Foy, it was time for lunch. Now, like the Canadian, the ocean has a dining car that serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, the Renaissance dining cars that we are in right now were originally meant to be single cabins, so cabins for one, but Via ended up deciding to use them as dining cars instead. Now, if you've ever been on the Canadian, you know how incredible the food can be. From the rack of lamb, to the prime rib done medium rare, to hot apple crisp a la mode with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. I mean, it literally does not get any better than this. But sadly on the ocean, it is a drastic step down. The ocean serves food that resembles more cafeteria food than high-end fine dining, from pre-made soups, frozen omelets and French toast, to commercial frozen carrot cake for dessert. It's obviously, again, this is better than nothing, but I think Rob and I collectively were on the same page about the food as well as the coffee. The coffee they served on this journey was actually really good, but when you're paying over $1,000 for a sleeper ticket on a 21-hour journey, there's a lot left to be desired here, and a lot of room for improvement on the dining experience on the ocean from Via Rail. But despite the disappointing meals, at around 2:30 p.m., we began crossing over the St. Lawrence River into our final destination of downtown Montreal and into Montreal Central Station. This is Montreal Central Station. And Rob and I were originally supposed to catch the 11 a.m. train from Montreal to Toronto Union Station, but due to the ocean being 6 hours late, we had to catch the 5 p.m. departure. And although Via did give us both $15 vouchers for any food we wanted on the station, here's my verdict on the ocean. So I think it's safe to say that across the board, the ocean is a stripped down skeleton of what it used to be. The observation cars, the dome car, the park car, that's all gone. You can't sit on top of the train anymore, which hasn't been a thing since I think 2020, 2019. The meals are probably more like cafeteria food here than on the Canadian, where it's true fine dining, and it is incredible. The Canadian, the Rocky Mountains, is my favorite place to eat anywhere in the world, restaurant-wise, but on the ocean, it's not that great. The ocean really is in need of a renaissance, pun intended. To be quite blunt, it seems like all the money goes in the place where the votes go in Canada, which is the Montreal, Quebec City to Toronto corridor, as opposed to anything west of Toronto. Nobody cares about, and anything east of Montreal also nobody cares about, especially in the Maritimes and Halifax. So this is my video on the ocean. I hope you enjoyed. This bed is really comfy. This is probably the best part of the entire ocean experience. I want to say thank you for watching. If you enjoy travel vlogs like these, hit the subscribe button, because I don't do videos like this often, but when I do, I'd love to share them with you when they come out. See you then. And a special thanks to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. Make sure you use that link in the video description, and the code TRAVSUCKS will get you 10% off their sleep masks today. And I also want to give a special thanks to all the Railfans to help me make this video possible. From my train attendant Noah Kelly for his awesome B-roll shots and filler footage for the ocean, to Shireen, to Tim Heyman, and more. You can check out all their channels in the link in the video description. These people seriously love Canadian rail travel just as much, if not more than I do, and I can't say thank you enough to them for helping me make this video, and thank you to you for watching it. I'll see you next time.